Hey group leaders, I'm back again this week with another tip for you as you lead your groups. There's this verse in a letter that the Apostle Paul writes to his protege, Timothy, where he says, "The things you have heard from me entrust to reliable people who will teach others." All right, and so think about that for a second. Think about how many generations of faith are in that little verse. It starts with Paul. He says the things you, speaking to Timothy, so that's two, from Paul to Timothy. Timothy to reliable people, and reliable people who will teach others. Paul, Timothy, reliable people, others. That's 4 generations, just one sentence. In the church, multiplication is a really, really big thing, not just in our church, but in the church in general. And for that to happen, we need to be passing on what we have learned to others around us. And so that applies to groups as well. I'll let you in on a little secret, like with our church. What we try to do in almost every area, we're not doing it perfectly yet. What we're attempting to do is to try to have an apprentice in almost every position where there is a leader. And so we don't really call them apprentices because who says that? But really it's somebody who is watching and learning from the person who is currently leading with the hope of eventually leading themselves. That's how we pass on what we have learned, right? And so we have a little formula for that. It's I do, you watch, we talk. I do, you help, we talk. You do, I help, we talk. You do, I watch, we talk. And finally, to reproduce this process, it's you do, someone else watches, we talk. And so it goes on to somebody else. And so what I want to challenge you to do this week is to start looking intentionally for people who could potentially lead a group in the future. Now, this is someone who has to have they don't have to be experts, but they have to be like pretty solid in what they believe. But people who you see some potential in, and maybe you have a conversation with them at some point and let them know you think they would do a pretty good job leading a group in the future. And if they seem interested in that, you can let us know. And you can also start incorporating them in the process of facilitating your groups. And so maybe there's one week, like the first week after this conversation, you say, hey, just keep an eye on how I do things, and the moments when I jump into the middle of the conversation, when I feel the need to redirect everybody, just keep an eye on how I'm doing things, and we'll talk about some steps that I had to take intentionally later on, right? And then maybe the next time you give them a chance to kind of jump in, and you slowly carry out that process until maybe, hopefully, before we're done with all this, which is just a couple more weeks, but maybe if it works really well, on one of the last weeks, you give them the chance to run the group themselves, and you sit there, and then afterwards you talk about how they felt, and that would be really, really awesome, and it would be a cool modern-day picture of what Paul was doing with Timothy like 2,000 years ago. So take that with you this week. Be on the lookout for somebody who could potentially lead their own group in the future, and let us know about it. We'd love to help you out in the process. Have a great week. I appreciate you guys. Talk to you soon.